Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to my living room. We are in a bit of a different setting today. I think I've mentioned that we just bought our house in April, so we are very much in the renovation stages, and upstairs right now is still freezing cold because we haven't yet got radiators up there. So I thought I would be kind to myself and come downstairs where it's nice and warm and toasty and yeah, film the video here. So hopefully it looks all right. It's definitely so much nicer filming somewhere warm. So for today, I really wanted to talk about my favourite books of 2023. But then whilst I was getting into it, like whilst I was looking through the books I'd read, I kind of felt like actually I didn't have any 6-star reads. Like I think I've had a few 5-star reads for sure, but there wasn't one where I was like, oh my gosh, this will be my favourite book now forever. And yeah, that was a little bit sad, but then I realised I only really read 26 books last year, which isn't very many, but I've got such higher expectations and goals for next year in terms of how many books I would have read, and hopefully also I will read more books that I absolutely love. But it was definitely a good experience, like finding out what I liked again and what I didn't quite like anymore, and yeah, getting back into reading in general. So I am very, very happy that I do have some books I can talk about. But I'm also excited because I am changing careers. So I used to be a primary school teacher and I'm going to now be a software engineer. So a big difference, but it means that my commutes to work will be slightly longer but also slightly easier, where it's a straight train, which means more reading. So yay, I'm very excited about that. And also I'll have my weekends back, so I'll actually be able to read on the weekends rather than plan. So we are starting this off very strongly with Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I think I have spoken about this in a few videos. This was the first book I ever read as an audiobook, and let me just tell you now, if you have not listened to an audiobook and you're thinking like, should I get into it, will I like it, what book should I read, this is the one. This is such a good audiobook. Every character has their own voice and you literally believe that they are an actual band. So this book is basically about a band and Daisy and how they meet and how they form, the ups and downs of being a band, the dramas of being a band, love, sex, drugs, alcohol, everything that comes with the rock and roll kind of lifestyle. It is so interesting, and everyone who reads it, they are like, oh, I thought they were an actual band. That's how realistically written these characters are. And it just blew my mind. The style of this book being an interview style, the characters being problematic but also so likable and having real demons, and it's just one of those books where you can't stop thinking about it after you read it. Like they still live in your mind, you still think about them, and that has definitely happened for me in this book, and that's why it is 100% a 5-star read. And it got me to read her other book, The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and I will talk about that more later because that book also is absolutely amazing. But yes, I kind of want to reread this and read it in the paperback format, but I just don't know if it will live up to the amazing job they did on the audiobook. And I know now it's a Prime show as well, so I'm watching that currently and that's also really enjoyable. But 110%, if there is someone out there who has not read this book, please pick it up. You will not regret it. So next we are going to be talking about some fantasy. Of course, I love a romantasy and a fantasy. They are some of my favourite genres to read, and we have got a very popular series, A Court of Thorns and Roses, the Akata series. I've got 2 books, but there are 5, I believe, 4, 5 in the series. And yeah, this is the introduction to the whole series, and I would give this book like maybe a 4. I think, yeah, a 4 because it's really good. It is the introduction to a 5-star series in my opinion, and I don't know if I'll be preaching to the choir if I give you a bit of a rundown of what it's about because it's so popular, but in case there is someone out there who has no clue what this is about, it's essentially about a girl called Freya who is her family's main provider. She hunts and she feeds them, and she's got 2 sisters and her dad. And one day she goes out into the woods like she normally does to hunt for some food. It's getting cold, she's getting desperate, right? And where she goes to hunt is very dangerous because there's a wall that separates the Fae world to the human world. Now, I will hold my hands up and say I had no idea what Fae were until I read this book, and I still am a little bit iffy if I know what they are. I think they are magical creatures who've got like long pointy ears, kind of like elves or fairies, but they look like humans, but they just have powers. That's my understanding of it so far. And so yeah, they're quite dangerous, and they've got myths about them that makes people wary about going across the wall. So one day Freya sees a wolf and she's like, that is a really big wolf, but that will keep my family warm for ages and fed for ages as well. And I think the wolf was going to hunt another animal that she wanted or something like that. Anyway, not important, but basically she kills this wolf, but it wasn't a wolf, it was a Fae, I don't know, transformed into a wolf. And it was kind of, I won't say that, but it was basically her killing this wolf meant that she now had to go and live with a high lord in the kingdom as his prisoner, basically, because he couldn't let her kill one of his servants or fays, whatever he was, and just get away with that scotch-free. Like, who do you think you are? You've got to now come with me, live with me, and, you know, I'll still feed you, you'll have a better life here anyway, and I'll take care of your family, but you are now mine. And that's kind of how the book starts. So it's a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and it's a very good introduction to what you're about to get. So you think, that was quite good, but then you get to this, and this is where the ish starts to happen. It gets good, there's drama, there's romance, there's ups, there's downs. It just is such a roller coaster, and it's so interesting, and there's so many things that happen that you're just like, oh, and yeah, it was really fun. I actually think I enjoyed the book after this, Court of Wings and Ruin, I think it's called, a little bit more, because whilst it's more war heavy, which I did not think I'd be that kind of girl to like war heavy books, but it just had a lot of plotting and scheming and like really high stakes, and I loved that. But this book is definitely the one that most people love, and if you think, oh yeah, this was good, and then you read this, you're hooked. You're like, wow, this series is amazing. And yeah, I'm probably rambling now, but definitely a 5-star series altogether. This was probably a 4, this was a 5, the one after was a 5, and I still need to finish the other 2, but so far, so good. So next we've got The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides, I think his name is, and this is just such a great thriller. It was actually the first thriller that I read, I think, or at least in a long time, and it has 100% got me into thrillers now. Now I've read this book, I'm like, I am a thriller girly, and it is so good. So it's basically about this woman who kills her husband. She shoots him in the head 5 times, and then afterwards does not speak, does not say a word to the police, to her psychologist, to anyone. And people are like, why did you kill your husband? You loved him. They're just baffled by it. It's such a big mystery, makes the headlines of every newspaper, and no one can understand what the motive was, why she felt a need to kill her husband in such a brutal way. And there's this therapist who is just fascinated by this story. He's just thinking, I really want to get her to speak. I want to find out what happened, what truly happened on the night her husband died. And so he goes out of his way to become her therapist, and you just start to find out very interesting, weird, unsettling information that makes this book so thrilling and so good. And this book is known for its like plot twist, and I really hate when a plot twist is hyped up because your expectations are sky high, and no, mine were. But to be fair, I was not disappointed. I really enjoyed it. I was like, what? No way. It is so good, and I think it's another 5-star. 4.5. Oh, I don't know, 4.5 maybe, 4.75, we'll go with that. Really good. So if you haven't read it, definitely pick it up. It was one of those books where you can just eat it up like that. So next we have The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren, and actually one of you guys told me that this is not one author but two, so they both write these books. So one's called Christina and one's called Lauren, and I think one of their most popular books is Love and Other Words. That's more of a second chance romance, friends to lovers romance, and I like that book. It's a very popular one here on booktube, but to be honest, I think I might be a bit controversial and say I like this one more. And I know it's not a popular opinion for some reason, but this book just made me laugh. It's very like feel good. If you're on holiday and you want to read a book on the beach, I would say pick up this. It's very light-hearted, easy. The ending is a little bit meh, it kind of lets it down a little bit, but the beginning and the middle are so just fun and funny that you're smiling, you're giggling, you're laughing all the way through the book. So it's basically about a girl and her sister who had a wedding, and it all went wrong and everyone got food poisoning except from the main character Olive and her enemy Ethan, who is the brother of her sister's husband. And so because they are the only ones who did not get sick, they get told, you know what guys, let's not all suffer here. We might be sick, but you guys go and enjoy the holiday, please. So they do. They go on their siblings' honeymoon, and they hate each other. It's a very much enemies to lovers vibe and close proximity. And I don't know, I just really like the whole close proximity, like I don't like you, but you're also really attractive thing, that trope that happens in books. And yeah, it's just one of those books that you're like, that was a good read. I'd give it a 4. And I'd say it's a good book for any readers who have not read in a long time and they want something to kind of get their toe back into the reading game. This would be a pretty solid choice in my opinion, just to, you know, see what's out there in the romance rom-com genre. Unhoneymooners, I liked it. So next we have 5 Survive by Holly Jackson, and she's the author of A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, and I think most people would have read that series before reading this, and I've done it the other way around. But I still really enjoyed reading this book. It is about 6 friends who are going on spring break. They decide to drive in an RV and they get broken down in the middle of somewhere, well, in the middle of nowhere. And all of a sudden, a sniper starts shooting at them and they're thinking, what on earth? Why is this randomer shooting at us? Like, what's happening here? But it turns out this sniper is looking for a secret that he thinks exists in the RV by one of the 6 friends, and they're trying to figure out who's got the secret, what is the secret, why is this person trying to kill us if we don't give them the secret. And so it's very high stakes, it's very thrilling. It's quite fast paced. There are some slower bits, but pretty much it is quite fast paced, and it all happens in one setting, so just the RV, and it happens over 8 hours, which is really interesting. So if you like even look in the book, you can see, yeah, that's the floor plan of the RV, and you start the book at 10 p.m. and I think it goes all the way until 6 a.m. So you start here, and then every hour it kind of like counts down until 6 a.m. And it is really interesting. There's one character that everyone hates, and I think when an author can write a character that's so despicable, that's really, really fun. And there's also, you know, a for sure death. It's literally called 5 surviving. There's 6 of them, so you're trying to think who is going to die, who will survive, and that makes it really fun as well. So if you're kind of wanting to get into thrillers, you don't want something too scary or too haunting, then I think it's kind of a good amount, but not too much if you're like, I can't sleep. And I gave this a 4.5, so yeah, this was a good read. And lastly, we have got the Shatter Me series. Now, personally, the first book for me was more like a 3.75, but as the series goes on, it gets better and better and better. And I think as a whole, it's like a 4.5-ish kind of series. It's really, really good. It's a dystopian book. And again, I reckon like most people have read it. It's very, very popular. But in case you haven't, it's about a girl called Juliet who has a lethal touch. So anyone she touches, she kills essentially, or either has them in extreme pain. And so she's been put in this asylum for, you know, being a danger to society. But now there's this re-establishment who have taken over society, and they want to use Juliet. They want her to be her weapon, and she basically has to choose now to fight back and become stronger. And you see her kind of develop through the series. There's a pretty popular romance in this book. It's a good romance. I wouldn't say it's like the best romance, but it's definitely good. And yeah, it's one of those books that are just fun, and I like dystopian books. I want to read a lot more this year, and this was a good way to kind of get me back into them. So for that, it gets a 4.5 as a whole series, but this book is more 3.75, but still good and definitely interesting. This author has an interesting writing style with a lot of crossed out bits and very mixed up narratives from our main character. But yeah, overall, a solid read and a solid book of 2023. So yeah, those are all of the books that I read in 2023 that I wanted to speak about today. I would definitely say if you haven't read them before, or you've heard about them but you've been unsure, I would say give it a go. I really enjoyed them, and I think they're quite easy books to read and books that you can get through quite quickly. But I'd be so interested to hear what your favourite books are. I love watching those videos and finding out what people's favourite books were, so I can add them to my TBR as well. And I can't wait to redo this video next year when I've read a lot more books and I've got those 6-star reads that are just, oh my gosh, changed my life kind of books. And I think I found some already in January. I've read some great books this month, so I can only imagine what's going to happen by the end of the year. But anyway, enough rambling. Thank you so much for watching this video and sticking to the end if you have, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.